morning. I'm Anna Palmer.
And I'm Jake Sherman.
And welcome to the Daily Punch, brought to you by Punchbowl News. It's Tuesday, May 19th, 2026. Let's get in the mix. Here are your Washington headlines of the day. Number 1, the SCORE Act is scorched. What's next? Number 2, Dems plan to keep term limits next Congress. And number 3, Senate Republicans' billion-dollar ballroom problem. Say that 3 times fast. All right, Jake, let's get to it. We are leading off Punchbowl News AM with the news that the SCORE Act has been scorched. Big news here. This is the legislation, of course, that people have been supporting when it comes to regulating how college athletes can earn money. But the Congressional Black Caucus roaring back with some power here.
Yes, the SCORE Act was supposed to be on the floor this week, and I'll give the House Republicans a little bit of a break. It is a short week, so unless they could do this quickly and efficiently, it's not the week to struggle with the bill. The SCORE Act basically would federalize college sports rules and give the NCAA kind of more legal certainty to regulate NIL, transfers, compensation to athletes, things like that. This has been a huge problem in the post-NCAA versus House or House versus NCAA, I guess, world in which universities could basically pay players. Not basically, they can pay players. The NCAA doesn't want to regulate this. They want Congress to tell them how to regulate it and tell them what to do. And as an average college sports fan, Anna, I could tell you that someone needs to step in because it is getting wild. It has already gotten wild. The CBC, there was a lot of hope from the NCAA, HBCUs, and all sorts of entities that the CBC would step in and be for the SCORE Act. The CBC released a statement yesterday saying that it was unanimously opposed to the legislation. Their headline was, they were unanimously opposed to the SCORE Act amid silence from college athletics leadership on attacks against Black political power. So the CBC basically said, in the wake of the Supreme Court decision that overturned Section 2 of the VRA, states across the South have moved rapidly to redraw congressional maps in ways to dilute Black voting strength, weaken Black representation, and undermine decades of hard-fought civil rights progress. And they basically said that is one of the reasons that they are against the SCORE Act, which, of course, would have huge impacts in the NCAA, Anna.
Yeah, I think it is. I mean, if you wondered how the CBC was going to come out and respond to the Voting Rights Act and the systemic change that Republicans are looking to push in the South in terms of these districts, they are clearly going to use any place that they can find power or where they find a relationship to say, we are still a strong voting bloc, right? I mean, that is what this is. This is an assertion of power at a time when they feel under attack.
So, yeah, and I'll just say, take that out a little bit, Anna. Extend this a little bit to if Democrats take control of Congress, right? If Democrats could take control of Congress, how much leeway will Hakeem Jeffries have to do any business with Donald Trump or a Republican Senate? Probably the bare minimum. There's not going to be much political will to do business with Donald Trump. And this is emblematic of that. And it's worth kind of putting a pin in that and just remembering that as we go into this election season and into potentially a Democratic House, not definitely a Democratic House in 2027. I'll just say one more thing, Anna. In the PM edition yesterday, we scooped that Mike Johnson, was at his big donor retreat in Washington yesterday, said that Republicans will net 7 to 8 seats from mid-decade redistricting. So on the minds of everybody here as we get toward election season.
Quick note, Punchbowl News has some new swag. Jake.
Yeah,
I'm wearing it right here. I got my hat. I got a new hoodie. You can shop it for yourself. Wear it in the morning. All you need to go is to shop.punchbowl.news. We've got hats. We've got mugs. We even have pickleball mallets for those. I don't know. Is that a mallet? Is that what people say?
No, they're paddles, Anna.
Paddles.
Mallets would be different. I will say, Anna, as you know, I've been very interested in the swag element of Punchbowl News for the last 5.5 years. Swag is an important part of a what we call a high growth company, and I am very interested in the swag that we get, and we have gotten those hats. If you turn it around, I don't think you want to, but those hats are Under Armour. The quarter zip, not a hoodie, Anna. Although I'm open to hoodies, the quarter zips are Adidas, very high quality stuff. and I was looking at the swag last night, and I was very eager to wear it. I didn't want to be matchy with you today, so I'm just wearing a regular quarter zip. Maybe we should make this a regular segment. What you're wearing at 4 o'clock at 4:30 in the morning. But I am wearing a Grayson hoodie, and the rest of my outfit is Lululemon. But I don't need to. We don't need to get into this.
A semi-regular feature of the Daily Punch. All right, Jake, let's move on to the number 2 story of the morning. We've got the latest on term limits. Democratic voters around the country are clamoring for new party leadership. Older Democratic lawmakers are facing political and electoral pressure like never before. But despite what's happening on the ground, there is little chance the House Democratic Caucus will impose term limits on their committee leaders next Congress, showing that the anti-octogenarian movement stops at the walls of the Capitol. What a great lead to this item.
This is Max Cohen, who did a great item here on basically around the country. We're seeing older lawmakers challenged. The most recent is John Larson in Hartford, Connecticut, my home state.
Challenged and losing in some cases, like John Larson did.
Larson lost the nomination.
Right.
He's still going to have a primary in a couple of months here. The lack of term limits have come to define the Democratic caucus over the last couple of years. And you're going to have next Congress Greg Meeks, who is the top Democrat on foreign affairs, is 72. Maxine Waters, 87. Benny Thompson, 78. Bobby Scott, 79, all at the top of committees. And basically, there is no appetite at this moment to put term limits after Max talked to dozens of House Democrats over the last 2 weeks. They just don't care. They think that the experience is good. There are upsides and downsides to this. Obviously, the experience is an important element of it. You don't want people who are inexperienced at the top of committees. But listen, House Republicans make it work. They have a pretty hard and fast term limit, I think 6 years, and they still make things work. I mean, you do get younger people in positions of power. For all the Republicans, the House Republicans, structural problems that they have with the Freedom Caucus and, trying to overthrow a speaker if he, looks at you the wrong way. Democrats have this, which does keep people atop committees for too long and does stunt the younger generation of talent, Anna.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I get both arguments. I feel like I've been covering this stuff for 20 years, right? I mean, there's been a friction point on Democrats and the idea of a lot of members in the Democratic caucus that left because they felt like they were stuck, right? They went and ran for Senate. They ran for something in the State House. They left altogether. But I do think, especially over this most recently, you've seen challenges, right, to committee leadership. And you have some Democrats saying that proves that term limits aren't necessary. I also think changes to the term limits at this time when the CBC already feels very under duress and under attack. I mean, this has been one of the strengths of the CBC that they've really stuck with, saying, that a lot of them, didn't get into Congress a little later, the systemic challenges for minorities and women to run, and that there shouldn't be these kind of false timelines for which they can be leaders or not. We'll have to see if anybody else does step up, though, and challenge some of these members of Congress who've been atop the panels for quite a long time.
That's right. And of course, I imagine this is probably going to, it'll come up again if Democrats take the majority, but this is just an appetizer.
All right, let's go to the number 3 story of the morning, the Senate's GOP's ballroom problem. Senate GOP leaders are considering reducing funding in their reconciliation bill for the Secret Service and for President Donald Trump's controversial East Wing ballroom. They're just trying to find a way forward, Jake. I mean, this is just trying to find a way that is going to be appealing enough to get to 50 when it comes to Senate Republicans and appease the White House so that they don't poke the bear on this.
Yeah. So there's a lot to say here. So Laura scooped this last night and went a little bit longer this morning in the newsletter on Republicans are really trying to figure out how to deal with this ballroom thing. I mean, the $1 billion sum that the White House has asked for, that Republicans included in the bill, they're looking to reduce it. They're looking to rewrite it. I think part of this is Trump management, as Andrew and Laura and I wrote. Mm-hmm. The White House is pushing hard for the ballroom money to stay in there. But I can tell you this. House Republican leadership does not believe they can pass this with any ballroom money or anything that looks like ballroom money. They are hoping that this thing gets out of the bill. They are hoping. I'm telling you, listen, they always fold, so, like, I'm not gonna make any grand pronouncements here, but it is gonna be near impossible to pass this thing with ballroom money in it. It's not gonna be possible. They're gonna have attendance problems this week. Neil Dunn missed a bunch of votes last week. I'm told he could be here this week. Tom Kaine is still AWOL. He's still MIA. No one knows where the man is. I don't know where he is. I hope he knows where he is. I don't know where. He's not in town this week. And on top of that, you have people like Brian Fitzpatrick, Kevin Kiley, who are not voting for anything with ballroom money. Kevin Kiley has other issues with the bill, lack of ICE reforms, that Congress has not passed ICE reforms. So, Anna, this is a big mess. They've got to figure this out. In the Senate, this could come out in the birdbath. It could come out in a vote-a-rama. I think it'll come out, is basically what I'm trying to tell you. And the House will not have to consider this with that money in it.
All right, one quick note here. We've got a new time. We're sitting down with Representatives Vern Buchanan and Paul Tonka on Wednesday, tomorrow at 1:30 p.m. That shifted because of votes to discuss the news of the day, the importance of early and accurate dementia diagnosis, and their work on the Alzheimer's Screening and Prevention Act. You can check it out, RSVP, join us virtually or in person. Going to be a really interesting conversation, an important conversation, so encourage you to RSVP. With that, thanks so much for listening. We appreciate it. If you like the Daily Punch, share it on social media, tell your friends. It's the best way to find out about us. And of course, you can go deeper on all things Punchbowl News at punchbowl.news. Have a great day and stay safe, everybody.